What's up, guys? Welcome to Resume Game Episode 8. My name is Lee. I'm joined tonight by Captain Bosch. Mike.
I'm only I almost said I'm only the first part. Wrong. I'm only the second part. I am not Captain Bosch.
Well, you are tonight.
No, no. Don't
tonight,
believe Lee's lies.
Tonight, me and Captain Bosch are talking all
Wrong.
about the 90s. Because the
Hell with
90s.
this.
What an era. Wait, what are you doing?
Deuce now for a minute. I'll be right back.
What? You can't do that. There's no deucing out. Get back here. All right, guys. I don't know what he's doing. Okay. So the 90s. Let's get back into this. 90s, I would consider, for myself personally, the golden age of gaming. You had your Super Nintendos and your Nintendo 64s, your PS1s. All that great stuff came out. The 90s is actually the start of the fourth generation of consoles. So the third would be the NES, second Atari. I'm not quite sure what the first would be. What came before Atari?
Before Atari, I guess, do you think things of like ColecoVision and
I was
Commodore and
thinking,
stuff?
yeah, ColecoVision.
You know,
yeah.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple other weird ones out there, I'm pretty sure. But yeah.
But what a time, the 90s. 1990, the Super Nintendo was out with Super Mario World, and I was 2 years old. And
I was not.
To keep me busy, my mom just put a controller in my hand, an NES controller, so I played Mario Bros. Throughout my toddler years. So I could pretty much say that Mario and Luigi were my parents at this point. They pretty much raised me instead of my parents.
Great.
Mm-hmm. And, that stuck with me ever since. Played video games at a very young age, and I've just been super into it all the way now. I'm 28. Ugh. I'm old.
What the hell? You're old? Well, if you say
That's
so.
old, man. I'm about to be 29. Anyway.
About to be 29. It's delicious. I used to say that too. So, yeah, so for the folks tonight, we're just going to be talking about the 90s for a bit here, and I know, just some games that really kind of hit home for us as individuals, as we call our growth and gaming development or some BS like that. And while I was doing my research, what was really interesting was I didn't find myself highlighting a ton of games as there's still someone we'll talk about today, but it was more of how big the 90s were for gaming.
Yeah, I was going to say, but first, before we get into our favorites, let's talk about the whole war between Nintendo and Sega in the early to mid-90s, and that was crazy.
You had... I'm looking at my list of games that jumped out at me just looking through numerous lists on the internet, and it was interesting because I think to myself when I was a kid, and I wasn't a teenager yet, but I'm thinking, what did I do in the 90s? I only remember so much of my childhood. Well, now I have a good portion of it besides, my parents and, what we did and whatnot, vacations and all the things my parents did for me and stuff. But now I remember, it was video games. It was really video games. I'm looking at this list and I see where the hours of my life went. Before I just, rattle out some titles real quick, it was interesting because you're talking about 90 first. And in 90, you still had strength going past 90 for the NES. There were still quality products coming out on your 8-bit platform. You then go right into the 16-bit war between, Genesis, Super Nintendo, and as if that wasn't enough with the quality that was coming out from that very competitive war, you also then had, going towards the end of the 90s, the emergence of the next generation. Now, I was an original Xbox guy, so I can't tell you much about that. But I did note titles that, were on, looking at the PlayStation 1. And I even have a note here for a PC title I'm going to talk about later as well. But yeah, I mean, it was really interesting to see. And you also had not, and I'm sorry, I don't know how I admitted this, but, not only PlayStation for me, but as well as, Nintendo 64. Because Nintendo 64 came out at the end of the 90s as well. And that was a big thing there for what was coming out, and that was really interesting. So, it's just different things that were available.
I like how Sega always tried to be like the more edgy company with the Genesis games.
Sure.
Their Mortal Kombat games had blood in them. The Super Nintendo games did not.
The Nintendo games had the...
They all had the Genesis had all the action heroes. You had your Comic Zone and
Nintendo went for IP and innovation.
Gunstar Heroes, right?
Yep.
More edgy stuff like that.
I'm looking here in... I mean, just if I don't mind I'm not going to talk about these titles. I'm just going to rifle. If I say titles you're going to talk about, that's cool. We'll talk about them. But just rifling through overall, I mean, I look early on in the 90s. Mega Man was very strong still in the latter part of the NES series. Okay, 3 came out in 90, and you had the ones come out afterwards, of course. You still had strong RPGs. Try again, RPG like Dragon Warrior. For those people who are sports fans, Tecmo Bowl, that was 91. And I got that Super Nintendo pretty close to launch. It was a little while before I got my Genesis, but I look at the titles and I say, yeah, I did play these games. Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, Super Castlevania 4,
I never played Pilot Wings.
Oh my god, wow.
That was one original game I never played.
Sinful, we'll get to that later. Legend of Mystical Ninja, Final Fantasy 4, Link to the Past, Super Mario Kart. The Mega Man X series. I just have a ton of games. I was writing Star Fox, Secret of Mana. I mean, I look at it, and these are all SNES. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Earthworm Jim. I mean, Super Metroid, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG. These were all games that I just lived off of.
Yeah, it took all the NES games, all the original IPs on the NES, and just bumped them up, made them so much better.
Like they just took that concept
and kind of reimagined all the NES games.
And it was just like you were introduced to that new world, and it was fully acceptable and comfortable. It was just a place you wanted to be as a gamer. I mean, I look at, and again, just touch on it real quick, I look at the end, and I look at my, PlayStation/64 games, Super Mario, Ocarina of Time, you had your Resident Evils come out, Final Fantasy 7, the later Mega Man X's, then I call my odd titles like Legend of Dragoon I mentioned before, which I totally forgot came out in 99. I'm yes, that goes on my list. Games, and you had, you're looking at, what would that be? Power Stone was Dreamcast?
Yes.
Right. So that was out at the very end too, because I didn't even really go. It was interesting because, before, you also had Sega Saturn, but I didn't really note that in there. It's interesting that I made this list. My mind gravitated a little bit towards PlayStation's, 64.
I always forget that the Saturn was in there competing with the 64
it was so
and
weird
PS1.
in the later part of the 90s because there's this weird coagulation of competition.
And then Sega jumps the gun and releases the Dreamcast real early.
Real early. That wasn't a great idea. No. Yeah. And I mean,
even though PS2 only came out a year later. So they weren't really that early.
Was it only a year early?
Yeah, Dreamcast was out in 99. GameCube and PS2 were 2000. So,
but once again, it's just about marketing those titles. I mean, that was always Sega's thing, was the marketing. They really were aggressive and invested a lot in it. It just wasn't the right execution or something. I couldn't tell you. But I mean, but it's funny because I look at my list and I really gravitate towards Super Nintendo. It's really interesting.
Oh, yeah, man. Super Nintendo was king of the 90s.
Yeah, it's really
Even though you had the N64 and all that, man, Super Nintendo will always remain the top.
It was, because I remember, just saying, PlayStation 1, Saturn, what else for me? I guess you would say, the later titles of Genesis and Super Nintendo, but more so Sega CD, 32X, which I think
and in the 90s there was all weird experimentation with the add-ons.
But it was just this giant cluster of my gaming senses were not sharpened
Yeah.
until PlayStation 2 came out, and I kind of got on the Sony truck at that point for my
It's
gaming.
interesting.
Yeah.
Nintendo never did anything with 32-bit in the 90s until the Game Boy Advance. That was like early 2000s.
But they didn't really need to.
Yeah.
They didn't need
Sega
to.
handled that with their what was it? What was the 32X?
32X.
Yeah, there was nothing good on
That was
that.
no. I had that for Doom. That was it. I bought it for Doom like everyone else did. You bought it for Doom. There wasn't anything else worth it. No. It just looked like really pretty 16-bit. It was anyway. So unless you're looking to cover a bit more on like this overall concept, we can just talk about a couple of titles.
Yeah, I'll just note a couple cool things that happened in the 90s. I mean,
Go
they
ahead.
gave birth to first-person shooters with Wolfenstein.
Sure,
3D,
I didn't have
Duke Nukem,
Wolfenstein on my list,
Doom.
but yeah.
Yeah, all PC titles. Later on ported to like PS1 and stuff.
Sure.
But that started a whole thing, man. I mean, FPSs are like
Yep.
the biggest thing right now. Sadly, I'm not big on them.
I mean, I play some.
They're okay.
Man, it's probably gonna suck at them, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's probably why I don't like them too much.
You just gotta aim. Yeah, I know. I'm trying, bro. I'm sorry. I'm holding you back.
Oh man. What else, man? Fighting games became real prevalent in the 90s with Street Fighter.
Yes.
That pretty much kicked off the whole fighting game
Sure.
scene.
Yep.
And-
I mean, you had you had the thrill of, that one-on-one gamer interaction to see who is the best. Yep.
And it was funny how in the middle of Nintendo and Sega's war with Mario and Sonic, they just throw Crash Bandicoot right in the middle of it.
Yes.
He didn't stick around for a while.
No. Yeah.
But it was good though.
It was
I mean, those are
good, but it's
games.
interesting because it was a different type of lore. Like it wasn't as prevalent. It was so interesting. Like the series made the impact, as we all know, by the re-release that was done just recently. They did the redo, and people have been looking for it to come out, so it's not like it wasn't in demand. But it's interesting because you don't think of Crash Bandicoot as like that main character of some type of gaming lore, you just knew him as Crash. Same thing. I have Resident Evil on my list. You got survival horror coming into the scene.
Yeah.
That certainly spurned a bazillion titles, so.
Well, let's get into some games here.
You're finding.
Let me see.
He's cheating right now, folks. He's cheating.
No.
He's
I'm going to
using
say one
his
of my
top
favorite
lap.
games. This is kind of a cop-out because it's everyone's favorite game of the 90s, but Ocarina of Time really, stood out to me. Probably because, I played it. I was, 10 years old.
Sure.
That was a huge game for the age I was at.
Sure. I mean,
I loved it.
especially for
hours
you.
in
Like,
that game.
it's interesting because, myself, I am a touch older, so, it was very important to me. But, there were games before that I remember more vividly.
Yeah.
So.
That game blew my mind after spending years with A Link to the Past, and then they come out with that. It was a huge leap.
Yeah. I mean, it was that was one of the big bangs for the 64 when that came out. That was crazy. I remember that because nobody expected it.
Do you remember
Nobody
the commercial
expected it.
with the little lines in between the scenes? It was like, "Will thou soar or will thoueth suck?"
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was on the TV commercial for Ocarina of Time.
Really? No, I don't even remember the commercial. Damn.
Willest thou suck?
What? What? Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on.
Now he's looking it up.
Wait.
Look what I started.
Wait. I gotta
I'm
see
sorry,
this.
people.
Give me a second here. Let me see here. Okay, we got something here.
It's a shame this isn't a visual podcast.
And I'm just gonna punch this up real quick. Let me just kill the audio here. Let's see here. I'll bring some audio in here. Let's see. What the?
Yeah, that's it.
Ew. Will
I know
thou
already.
run or fly? What? And will thou sink or swim? What? Almost done here. Don't worry. This looks not to be that long.
You can do both with the iron.
Will
moves.
thou finish or die trying? Interesting. Lots of fight scenes. And you got, in the end, will thou soar? What? Or willst thou suck? What?
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember this at all. Coming November 23rd, have ye what it takes. Next. Okay, that's enough for me. Cool. Anyway.
I feel like the people who made that commercial have no idea how people talk in Zelda games.
I think the
They just
people
took
who
that it
made
was a
that
fantasy-
commercial maybe didn't understand what Zelda was.
They just thought it was a high
They
fantasy
just
game.
said,
so they
"Oh, it
figured,
looks medieval.
Of course
Let's
they're
put
gonna
some
talk in old
valsts
English."
and whilsts. Bring my steed." You know. So yeah, right.
I beeth Link.
Yeah, I beeth Link. Smite thy
This beeth
Ganon.
my
Smite. Yes.
Man.
So anyway, while you're doing whatever you're doing over there, I'm going to be for this evening. Let me see here. I'm looking through. I'm hunting, and I'm going to talk about older games in the spectrum that impacted me as a gamer. So I'm going to mention one. You might not even know this game. It is for re-release on the Nintendo game console if people ever wanted to play it. Back in 1990, there was a game that came out called Star Tropics. Did you ever play it?
It was a Genesis game, right?
It was not. It's a Nintendo game.
Oh.
It is an NES
yeah.
game.
Okay.
Star Tropics was an interesting game for its time. It had a full plot. You were this young boy. He's like, I don't know if it was like 10 or something like that, 12, I don't know. But he was like the energetic, intrepid, young hero. Your uncle, I believe it was a famous explorer, and he explored ruins. And the short end of the game was you eventually go through to save your uncle, who got lost on his quest, but really he was in danger, if I remember correctly, because the ruins weren't ruins. They were, I guess, like home areas for an alien race that was getting ready to invade the Earth. And the game, though, had two interesting components to it. One was where it was a overhead action game where your movement is a combination of running around in like in dungeon room format, kind of like original Zelda, and or you go into rooms where there are just like all sorts of blocks. You have to jump from block to block to block to get across. You have to be aware of the enemies jumping to. You have to dodge bullets and stuff. And your weapon was a yo-yo. And you would power up the yo-yo to get more reach and everything. Eventually, I believe you got a laser gun at the end from the aliens, and that was pretty badass. But, but the thing was, otherwise, you had your uncle's, I think it was your uncle's exploration ship, and it was like an underwater submarine. And you would go from island to island. That's how you explored the world. But Nintendo had this nifty little thing in the box where you would have the instruction manual, all that, but you had this piece of paper. It was a tan piece of paper. I forget if there were specific instructions on it on how to use it. I think there were. I'm trying to remember now. But at one point in the game, you get a note from your uncle and it's coordinates on how to find him. Now, you couldn't just find us randomly in the game. You had to know exactly where to go. I guess through enough trial and error you could, because you would go to areas you would submerge. And because normally your submarine kind of like just glides across the top of the water. Then it'll dive to find things. You took this paper and you would put it in like your sink. And you'd put water on it. And you get the paper wet. And it reveals a map with the coordinates of where you needed to go. And mind you, when I was a kid, you didn't have, it was a gimmick. Let's not kid ourselves, folks. It's a gimmick. But when you're a child playing the game and you have this piece of paper that came in a box that has direct impact on your gameplay after you doing something to that paper was pretty mind-blowing at the time.
I wish they still did that stuff today. That would be
like
awesome.
It was really cool. It was a really cool idea. Yeah. A sequel came out a couple years later. Pretty good game. Didn't really live up to the first one, in my opinion. But I mean, it did actually follow through the plot. It was actually a true sequel. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminds me of when they released Earthbound, and that giant box, and it came with the scratch and sniff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I forget what the smell was, but
Was
It
it
was
like
in like the big guide that came with it?
was it
Like
like
scratch and sniff
dirt
stuff.
or something?
It might have been.
It was something like that. It wasn't. I don't think it were. I don't believe they were inviting scents. Let's see. It's funny because I am not a huge Earthbound guy. I understand it's a
dude.
great game and all, but I'm just not.
You got to go back and play through it. It's the best game ever.
Let's see here. Let's see here. Here we go. Is your answer is dun, 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 dun. Let's see here. And the answer is, oh God. Apparently the bad one was Carbon Dog?
Carbon Dog.
The mushroom?
Those are the smells.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I remember
There's a
Carbon Dog.
banana scent.
Carbon
What?
Dog was one of the bosses.
I'm looking to see here. I'll look to see. Hold on. Let me see how I can figure this out. Hold on. Let's see. So, what do we have here?
Yeah, there was Carbon Dog and Diamond Dog.
One smelled like
such a good
banana. One smelled horrible. That's so weird. Anyway, okay, I'm not gonna keep looking at this. But just touch real fast. You had told me as I spat through 20 game titles that you never played Pilot Wings.
No, I did not.
Pilot Wings was a fun game for its time. They re-released it later. It didn't hold the same amount of charm to it at all.
Yeah.
But
I was too busy playing Star Fox.
yeah, well, sure. I mean, you gotta understand. Pilot Wings' best impact wouldn't have been for you because Pilot Wings was best served to us gamers in the first wave of gaming. Because when there wasn't a ton of Super Nintendo games out yet, Pilot Wings was that fun little breaker in between other games. Because all you did is you did hang gliding, rocket pack, skydiving, and you fly the biplane.
Right.
And you would just do little flying missions and land on the certain goals for the most points and all that stuff. Like, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was a really fun game.
Yeah. They did a remake, right, on the 3DS?
They did. It just wasn't...
I didn't play it.
Yeah, it just didn't have the same charm to me. You know,
Yeah.
there's this real awkward charm to the first one that made it excellent. But yeah, it's not like it survived. You know, I mean, no. Yeah. So, what do you have?
Let's see. Ooh, yeah. One of my favorite games. This is actually... I'm gonna cheat here a little. This game came out in 2000, but I'm just gonna say
Cheater.
no, man. The
I'm
year
gonna break
2000 caps off the 90s. It's still part of the 90s.
What?
This game was developed in the
What?
90s. It was just released in 2000.
What?
That's all. All right.
This is the guy who doesn't believe in things costing like $3.99. He gives it even $4. Keep going.
Yeah, man. Round it up.
Whatever.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 9. That was huge game. Huge game to me.
Yeah,
I know
I mean,
you never made it through it.
I'm
It's a
just being
shame.
hobo right now, folks. I'm just like, meh. Was it in 2000 though?
It was released in 2000. Yeah, I think early mid 2000. But that was the first one I ever played. And
I think one of the significant things to know about that is that was still a PlayStation 1 game.
oh yeah,
You know, which is interesting that games of that quality were still coming out for PS1. Is what I'm saying at that point. Like, there were plenty of them, but like, you know, like you have to understand, like, you know, at that point you already had talks. You know, you already have things with, you know, PlayStation 2. So you had talks about that coming up and everything. So that came out. PlayStation 2 came out in what was that?
2000.
Because
2000.
it was right after that. That was like right after all that. It came out in, according to the random Googles, which may be a lie, it says March 4th of 2000 in Japan, October 26th in North America.
That sounds about right.
So a year late, no, not even a year later,
Came out with the GameCube around there.
Yeah,
right?
and
The
a little
GameCube
after that was
came
Final
out in
Fantasy
November.
X. So,
Yeah.
you know, my point being is, you know,
Oh,
Sony
yeah.
was
10
very
10 only came
respectful
out,
to their
yeah.
older platforms. They you know, they could have just said, you know, they
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
10 came out that same year, didn't it? 2000. Final Fantasy 10.
I think so. If not, it was 2001
Oh, wow.
then.
Yeah, so we got-
But it was like good. But it was very shortly after PS launch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It made, I would say it was 2000. I mean, I would think it was, God.
It'd be nice if development time was that short nowadays instead of waiting like 5 years between Final Fantasies.
And getting crap.
And then-
2001
yeah,
came out.
and
Came out 2001.
And giving us Boy Band Simulator 15.
Yeah. Flipping great. So, looking around here.
I'm going to say another great game in the 90s was
Go.
Sonic Adventure.
I had that on my
Great
list. I
game,
wasn't
man.
going to talk about it because I figured you'd bring it
Fantastic
up. But it's
game.
on my list, of course. I mean, it was really...
It was ridiculous, but
See,
it
because
was-
you're
it was
going to
so much
wind up,
fun.
you're going to wind up today hitting a lot of games that I totally agree with. I'm going to be noting more obscure things for people maybe to be aware of, so they can look
Yeah.
into it and
I
experience.
mean, I have
what
a million
experienced.
games I could talk about, but I picked some real oddball ones that.
But
Not a
yeah,
lot of
I
people.
mean, yeah, but totally, great game. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it was just another like one of those huge transitions from the
Yeah.
2D to 3D. It was just mind blowing when you're a kid. It was
Right.
like,
I mean,
you
it
have
was
to have it.
it was really
You're a
interesting.
fan of the
Yeah.
old games. You got to have the 3D ones.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and that whole world concept, that was just totally like, before it's been abused like it is now. But I mean, that was like really like out there. Yeah. That,
Yeah.
Again, just the fact these could actually occur. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
And I even like playing as. I mean, all the weird characters too, like Big the Cat.
Oh, of course.
I enjoyed all that.
Big the cat.
E10,
Froggy.
E102.
Froggy.
Froggy. Where are you?
Okay. Wasn't he the fishing?
Yeah, it was
He was
the fishing levels.
Yeah, he's the
It
fishing.
was still fun though. That
Yeah.
game had a lot of cool stuff in it. A lot of cool hidden stuff in it.
So I'm going to go back to early Super Nintendo because a lot of my stuff for today is early Super Nintendo. This is back in the days of Square. Wrong. Not the days of Square Enix.
Soft.
Did Square Soft or Square... No, because you understand what I'm saying. Second, you're right, though. Not Square Enix. Not Square Soft. Enix Games. When Enix was Enix. And that's ActRaiser.
Ah, never played it.
ActRaiser was...
I hear so much about it though.
It is a great game. Its combat is kind of meh, but it was a cool idea because realistically, what was it? It was a 2D side-scrolling action platformer where you're like this deity from the gods and you have a sword and you run around and you hack up the bad guys. That's all it is. Okay, and you had
my
like
kinda
super
game.
moves and stuff, and you would use them like kind of like in how like in like Shinobi you would have
yeah.
like ninja scrolls that you would consume. It was like that for super moves, but the main part of the game wasn't that. That was like your capstone at each stage was the 2D fighting. It was actually a world simulator game because you would appear as this little like cherub angel thing. And you go to each area, and the people have been terrorized, and you needed to help restore through like a SimCity-esque function, okay? And each stage had different plight. The first area, I believe, the people had issues with their crops kept dying, so you had to, produce fresh crops for them. In the second one, the monsters were polluting the lake that had the water supply, so you needed to fix the water supply, and you would build houses and level up the houses, get more citizens to come in.
Sounds
and
like
you
Harvest Moon.
you send the citizens out to go find things. You tell them where to search. They bring back power-ups for you and stuff. It was a fun little game. I mean, that blew my mind back then that there was now this concept where you could have multiple genres in one game and make it not seem clunky.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Yep,
cool.
ActRaiser. Yeah, look it up. There was a sequel that came out too, but then I don't even know if there's even simulation. The second one might have just been an action game actually.
Yeah.
But I wasn't big on the second one either way. That's all I remember. Yeah.
Oh man. Speaking of Enix and Square, back when they were Square Soft, I'm gonna say Mario RPG was one of the big
my
games,
list.
man.
On my list.
It's a shame
96.
It's a shame they haven't made another one of those.
I was so stunned when they made that game because, like, it worked. It worked. And why they didn't make another one, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you why I
It
hadn't
was
done
a
that.
fantastic game.
Yeah.
And all the Paper Marios and Mario and Luigi, those games are okay.
They're good. They're good.
They're decent,
They're good,
but they don't hold a candle to Mario RPG.
Yeah,
man.
I gotta say that. Yeah, I remember playing the devil out of that game. That was a fun game. Fun game.
You had Gino and Mallow.
Yeah,
They never came back after that. Great characters, man. The
Puppet. Yes. Oh man.
And then like all the Smithy bosses were like based around weapons, like swords and
That's
stuff.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they were manufactured in the Smithy factory.
Yeah.
They were all weapons, and it's cool how they had their own boss music separate from the other bosses.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Man. It was a great game.
I remember
great
that.
soundtrack.
Wow.
Great everything.
I forgot about the Smitties. Yeah. I just remember just the charm of how it just felt. I was like, this is a really cool idea.
Yeah, it was super different at the time. Mm-hmm. It was cool how Bowser joins you too.
Yeah.
It was like probably the first time in Mario history where Bowser's on your side. And Peach's weapons like frying pans and like glove slaps.
That's right. Yes, the
Totally
glove
sexist.
slaps. Yes, that's right. The glove slaps. I forgot about that. Oh my god. Yes. Oh, where am I looking at here? Okay, so again, my next obscure one. I'm mentioning two titles at the same time because there isn't really a need to talk about both of them. But back in '92, you had an old Super Nintendo RPG called Soul Blazer.
I remember that.
Its spiritual successor, Illusion of Gaia, came out a year later. Illusion of Gaia was basically Soul Blazer on steroids, better graphics and everything. Like, everything was improved in it, and it was a fun game. But Soul Blazer is the one that, like, really captured me. Because, did you ever play it?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of it, though.
The short end of it is, it was a great little concept. Again, it was one of those cross-hybrid games, kinda, not as intense as what ActRaiser did, but kind of the same thing. I seem to have gravitated towards these dual world ideas, because in Illusion of Gaia you had like top-down fighting action sequences, and you had to fight monsters in dungeons and blah blah blah. The catch, though, just like in ActRaiser, how you're in an overworld doing a world simulation. In Soul Blazer, it wasn't really world simulation, but you would go to the first area, and there was like the area where the boss was you had to go to. We'll call it like the monster stage or whatever. Then there's the main overworld. Everything existed in people's dreams. You had to use the dream rod, I think is what it was. And you would talk to people, and then you would go in their dreams. And their dreams, they have nightmares. And you need to fight in their dreams to resolve their nightmares. By resolving their nightmares, things get fixed in the real world that were causing problems because it's messing things up, where it's people's psyches or whatever. And then it would also open up pathways in the master dungeon to eventually get to the last boss. Pretty good soundtrack for its time. And it was just a very fun concept of a game to play, and it just had this charm to it where you felt like you were constantly making progress in the game, that you were making a difference because you were changing the events of what was happening. I mean, years I would say a couple years later, that was really captured in Chrono Trigger.
I was just gonna say that sounds a lot like Chrono Trigger.
This was kind of like it was. Chrono Trigger certainly wasn't like, oh, well, just do Soul Blazer, only better. No, there's no way to compare it to. But Chrono Trigger really, kind of took it to the next step, where it's like, now we're going to show you how you can impact a universe, and you determine how the universe ends, So kind of like that. Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah. And Chrono Trigger is fabulous. Don't know if that's on your list you're going to talk about.
I played maybe like a fourth of the way through it before I gave up.
Oh, it's a freaking good game. Oh my god. It's the game of my longest playing binge, which was 16 hours straight. It is the longest I ever played a single game, because when I played it, I was just hooked. It was So good, so good. And no, I did not beat the game in
I
those
was gonna
16
say,
hours.
that was my next question.
I was just on Grindfest Valley, and I was just like, I get all the materials. I need to get the best stuff. I was absolutely in love with it. And then after you beat the game, and you can now play it again, and depending on what you do in the time periods, will give you different endings. I was like, what the hell? And the endings, while not long, that was the catch, except for the main endings, the primary endings, the secondary endings were all short, but they were there, and each ending did make sense. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, yeah. Yep.
Nice. Well, sticking with the theme of obscure titles, man, let's talk about Mystical Ninja. I mean,
that's on my list.
The Super Nintendo one, it was pretty good. I love it. It's a great game. But I want to talk about you said you never really played the N64 one, right?
No.
That game is so good. It's so weird. I mean, just when you get inside the robot impact and you just go like roller skating through a town and you're just destroying all the buildings. It was such a kooky game. It was really weird. Like I loved it. It came out before Ocarina of Time did, and I played the hell out of it. It was such a good game.
And I am looking. You know, I remember these cutscenes. Maybe I rented the game once because I'm skimming through and I remember this. I remember this, but because I don't remember much, yes, I do remember this. I'm looking at these interesting polygons and everything. And
you blow your whistle, ride the dragon around the land. And
I'm looking here and like,
it's just a shame that
I don't remember
not too
much.
Many of those
that
games made
me,
it over to the U.S. It was a huge franchise in Japan, but it just never caught on over here.
Oh, here's the robot thing.
Yeah, Impact.
Oh, it goes into like a first-person view.
Oh, during the fights, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
I'm seeing the other portions too, where he's just like running around. What the devil?
You launch your pipe arm and you like hook onto the robot, and
he's just like, what the devil? Yeah, he's hooking on. Yeah, he hooks onto the robot.
There's maybe 3 parts in that game where you did that.
Huh?
You get inside the robot. Actually, I think the final battle is.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, this is crazy. I'm just looking at this for a bit, and
well, I mean, I love Gomon.
It has that same exact charm that the Super Nintendo game had. Totally, yeah. There's Dr. Yang running around like a fool.
Gomon he was huge in Japan. They had an anime, Mystical Ninja anime.
Yeah, okay, all right.
There was a couple PS1 games actually, but they like redesigned the characters really, really badly. They look like anime characters, like typical anime characters.
Who's the little onion guy?
And what I thought was really funny about that series is Abysamaru, the dude with the blue hair.
That's what I said about this. Is that this guy I'm looking at? Okay, yeah.
His gender is like changed over the years. He's been a girl sometimes.
Really?
And then he goes back to being a boy.
Huh.
Or then like even in the games where he's got all the facial hair and stuff, he'll say that he's a girl and stuff like that. It was really weird.
Really?
Those games got weird. I think that was in maybe like the second or third Super Nintendo game, which never came over to the U.S. Only the first one did. That's probably why I didn't come here, because those games just got really, really weird.
Yeah.
Really, really Japan weird.
Yeah, well, that's usually how it goes. What have we got here? Sacred Cucumber. What the... I'm just looking like really late into like the game, I guess, is what I'm looking at here.
That was a cool game, man. It played just like Ocarina of Time, but it was like it was really goofy. Like the main villain's plot was just to take over Oedo Castle so they could put on their weird plays.
Are you serious?
That was their whole thing.
God.
And you just had to stop them from doing that. It was ridiculous.
What am I looking at here?
And a great thing that came with the N64 game over to the US was a whole bunch of translation, like, errors.
Yeah, really, right, yeah.
Whole lot of stuff that didn't make any sense.
Oh my gosh, I'm just looking here to see. Oh, what's this? Is this like the end of the game or something here I'm watching now? You're in outer space.
Yeah, it's probably the big robot battle with the Peach ship. Is there
Yeah.
a giant Peach spaceship?
Yeah, is that what
Yeah.
I'm looking at? What in goodness name?
Such a kooky game, man.
Is this like the end of the game here I'm watching? I think so. The guy blasts off like he's in Team Rocket.
I love how drenched in like Japanese culture those games were too.
Sure, right, yeah.
Like you have for your health items, you got dumplings and rice balls and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't see much else here. I guess that's the ending. Okay, that's nice. Okay, good, strong.
Yeah, that's
waste of my time.
One of the few games that really like incorporates Japanese lore, like demon lore and stuff.
Yeah, right.
You don't see too many of those, which is a shame. And you got Neo, which I haven't played yet, but that's heavily drenched in Japanese folklore.
Which one's that for?
PS4.
Is it?
Yeah, it came out a few months ago.
Oh, shows what I know.
I never tried it because it's like a Dark Souls type of game, and it was just too frustrating for me. I don't want to die a million times. That's not fun for me.
How about?
Games should be fun.
I'm looking at my list here, and a lot of these I kind of touched on.
Yeah, but I mean, you name pretty much any Super Nintendo game, and it's probably going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking here to see, and I touched on a lot of these before. I actually made a note here for Pokemon Snap. That came out in 99.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved Pokemon Snap.
That game.
Love it. Get the pictures.
Yeah,
Get
I
the
remember
pictures.
trying to figure out how to snap a picture of Mew.
Ha!
You had to like keep throwing apples at him or something
Yeah,
until his
something
force
like
field
that.
goes away.
Oh, Mew. Yeah, that was a good game. That was a fun
Yeah.
game. It was a weird game, but it was a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
I love how in some stages you'd have to interact with the Pokemon like way before like getting to another area so that they'll go like down there and then disrupt another Pokemon so you could snap a picture of them. It was cool.
Yep.
All the interconnectedness.
Yeah, Pokemon. That was the decade of Pokemon, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did that come out? 96?
No, well, Red and... No, yeah, you're right. Red and Blue was like 96, I think.
96 or
95,
97.
96. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it was...
Oh, yeah. Oh, here it is. Yeah, Pokemon 96.
Yeah.
Shit, man, that started a huge craze. That's never going to stop.
Yeah, 96. Yeah, okay. I thought Gold and Silver came out in the 90s. Yeah, okay. 99. I thought so.
Oh, man, Gold and Silver was like the biggest thing when it came out.
Yeah. Well, that kind of...
People went nuts for it.
Yeah, well, that kind of like transcended the past generations. So everybody's like, whoa, you know.
That's cool, like all the 3D stuff that started coming out in the 90s. Like they started with the Star Fox, and they had a couple of other games that like utilized the FX chip.
Right.
But, a lot of them never got released because they were working heavily on the N64, and just released that instead. So a lot of games on the Super Nintendo that used that FX chip never got released.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think maybe Star Fox and there was a Stunt Racer FX or something.
I played that Stunt Racer FX. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was a good game.
That was a good game. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Actually, X2 and 3 utilized the FX chip a little. Like
Did
at
they?
the end when you're fighting Sigma.
Oh, yeah,
and like
right.
his face is like that grid.
Yeah.
That weird, like the wire grid. Yeah. The 3D effects in that. So,
That's right.
Yeah, they started using that a lot near the end of the SNES's life cycle. And then they're like, we got the N64, so screw it. No one's...
I didn't really, like, when I was looking through, I didn't really touch a ton on PC gaming.
I never have.
I mean, for me,
PC gaming.
I haven't done a ton of PC gaming, but the game I'm talking about here, I noted because it does actually cross over to the show, because it's a game you can buy from your console gaming stores. And at least I know you can on Sony, because I own it for the Sony. But that is in 1998. That was when the PC version of Grim Fandango came out.
Never played it.
It is a fabulous game, but it's not an amazing game. That was the lure of it. It's not a long game either. It's only like, about 6-7 hours really, if you know exactly what you're doing, and probably far less than that really, I guess. But it's your standard walk around, pick and click, solve the puzzle, put the piece here, move along to the next area of the game. That's all it is. Okay. Think, in that time with like King's Quest or wherever you want to say. Okay. But what was real interesting about the game is that you talk about lore. That game has its own lore. Every character is distinct. It's very heavy on Hispanic heritage and culture because it involves like a lot of like I think like the Day of the Dead lore and stuff like that. You're the main character is pretty much like an insurance salesman for death because that's what he is. He's dressed like a Grim Reaper because his job is to, claim the souls he has to go claim and basically but then when you meet the person you then like you consult them, and depending on what they've done in their life earns them certain afterlife tour packages basically. And either you're going to get the cool like first class seat on the train to like wherever, like, or you're going to go to like hell otherwise basically. And all the characters had distinct personalities. The music was like that old like jazz noir feel. It's excellent game. I recommend everyone to play. They never made a sequel. Another game that makes you say, why didn't they make a sequel? It's just a story pick and click. But it was excellent. It is excellent. I wish they would make a sequel because it's a real fun game. Funny characters. Great dialogue. Wonderful dialogue. Oh my God. I mean, everything from your sidekick, which is supposed to be a I think he's supposed to be a fairy or something, but he's a big hulking beast. It's like big orange blob of
Beast
eyes. And like, all the way down to like the little short, because they're all skeletons, except for your sidekick, but they're all skeletons. And to the short little like mobster guy, oh, it's hysterical. They did a great job with it. I mean, and again, I mentioned on here because people can buy it for only a couple bucks from your gaming store. It's a fun little game to play. Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Or if you're not going to do that, then watch some playthroughs. There you go.
I'll check it out.
Sure.
I'll check it out, definitely. You know what else came out in the 90s? Battletoads.
Oh, crap. Ugh.
You want to call up GameStop right now and ask if they have it?
I'm not. What?
You remember when that was a huge thing? People call up GameStop and ask if when Battletoads is coming out for the Wii.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, that was a huge just a big prank thing that was going on.
It was a prank thing? And people just partook in this?
Oh yeah, everyone did.
What? Oh my God. Oh wow.
They would just get hung up on. Like some of the managers would curse them out. It was great.
Oh my God. I had no idea this existed. None.
Battletoads.
Yeah, Battletoads. Now, like, when did that come out?
I think 91.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then there was Battletoads and Double Dragon crossover and all that stuff.
Oh, I forgot about that nonsense. No. I mean, I had nothing against Battletoads, really, except that I just gave up on it, but that's besides the point. I got pretty far in it, too, but no. I wasn't that good.
It's a tough game.
That was... No.
Turok came out in the 90s.
Turok.
One of the only dedicated dinosaur games out there. You don't see too many dinosaur games.
No, you can always play Star Fox.
Why aren't there games just about dinosaurs?
You get ones with Star Fox and dinosaurs. Get the combo pack.
Let's not talk about that. Worms came out in 95. Great game.
What game?
Worms?
My brain blanked. Yes, Worms.
I love Worms.
Worms.
You ever play Worms 3D? I thought it was better.
Which one was that?
I'm probably the minority there, but I thought it was better. It was on PS2 and GameCube.
Is that the ones like you can play
it's
4
just
player?
Worms, but 3D. I think you have up to like 6 players. You take turns.
Yeah.
Pass the controller around.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because the goal was like it was 3D, and I remember you would take turns and like you try to like blow each other up and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah,
I wasn't too much about the original. I like that version. Yeah, I did like.
Yeah,
that's
man.
what it was.
Worms
then. Okay.
3D was where it was at.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Oh man, what else have we got here? So much.
I mean,
let's see.
Looking here, I mean, what do I want? I guess I'll gravitate towards.
Oh, let's not forget that the game where you torture Pac-Man came out in the 90s.
Oh yeah, I know when the hell that came out. You know, we covered that enough last time.
I love that game.
I mean, I did note on here that I myself play a ton of NBA Jam that came out in the 90s.
From downtown. Boom shakalaka.
Secret of Mana came out. I played that game like nuts.
I never really got into Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana really wasn't like a stellar game.
Yeah, it was
the
an action
combat
RPG,
and everything
right?
made.
It was an action RPG, right?
It was.
Yeah.
And the combat
the
did
early
make
ones.
sense. The combat did make sense. It was entertaining because you could play multiplayer,
Oh, really?
which wasn't that prominent for the time. You know, playing an action RPG with more than one player. Yeah, that was.
Well, maybe I'll play it if I can get my hands on a SNES Classic. If
Yeah,
you're listening, Nintendo, give me a free one.
Yeah, nah, whatever. I say,
I don't want to wait in lines.
don't worry. Oh, okay. So since you brought that
And
up,
put my cleats on.
we're moving along towards the conclusion of today's mess. I'm gonna put a gripe out there though. This is my gripe.
Oh, boy.
So
Here we
the
go.
weekly gripe. We'll say number one because I might have more, but right now I'm just one. It's your fault. So here's the thing. This is to all my trues that work at Target. Now, I'm not calling out Target directly, so I'm going to call out retail organizations.
Yeah, man, don't badmouth Target.
That
love
no,
Target.
I shop Target every week.
Target's my favorite store.
But Target also does some baffling decisions, and I'm not saying just Target. I think this might be the baffling is more widespread than I perceive, which is even more frightening. But here's the thing: I have an issue, and my issue is this: Target, why do you insist on still having on your peg hooks in stock the opportunity to buy the carrying case for the NES Classic? Why would we offer a carrying case for a system that never existed?
What
It's a
jerks.
lie. The NES Classic was a lie, but the carrying case isn't.
Hey, maybe
Okay.
no one bought them when they came out and they just have overstock.
Target, I love you. I just hope you put them on clearance. You want to put them on clearance? I'll buy one because I'm sure I can use it for something. They look like nice bags. But I'm not paying the $15, $20 tag where it's attached to it because it's for the NES Classic, so it fits snugly for the NES Classic that you and I and everyone else own. So, for
yeah.
best for
I
in
have
case,
5.
yeah, I mean, in case I want to take it to my friend's house, I can go and bring my Classic over there, right? Exciting times to be had for all. So, so fortunately, I'll get to level up. And once I level up, I will then be able to go to Target and then purchase my SNES Classic bags for the,
For anything but the SNES Classic, because you will not have one.
I will be able to fill it full of a cup of noodles or something. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Find uses for it.
Is it still $90 for a SNES Classic?
80.
That's
Yeah,
not
I'm
more
on the
appealing.
fence. I kind of want one though.
I
Because
don't.
the Super Nintendo was such a
And
such a
probably
big
because
impact
a
on my
lot of these
life.
games I talked about, I know are not going to be on that Classic.
It's just my the Super Nintendo I do have is like beaten to shit, beaten to hell. And
Let me see here.
The
I'm
back
going
of
to look
it's
at this
like-
again because we talked about this a couple of shows ago, and we're not really going to talk
Yeah.
about it right now. I'm just looking at the list again because I can,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to determine it for myself.
dude, my
Right
Super
now.
Nintendo had that discoloration issue where like the plastic oxidizes and turns yellow.
Yeah,
So I have, and like my friend stepped on the back of it. So like
Cool.
I have a yellow caved in Super Nintendo
Excellent.
sitting in my shed somewhere. So that's why I want the SNES Classic, just
so
for
let's
memory's
see.
sake.
Contra 3, don't care. Donkey Kong Country, yes, of course. I can't say no to Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong
Earthbound's
Country's okay.
cool.
Donkey Kong Country 2.
Final Fantasy 3,
better one.
meh.
Diddy's
Let's see.
Conquest.
F-Zero, I played that enough. Kirby Superstar, sure, I'll
Dude,
play it again.
great game.
Dream Course, yes.
I love Dream Course.
Link to the Past, but I have old ways to play Link to the Past. So it's like,
Yes, and Dream Course is on the SNES Classic. I have to get it.
Mega Man X1, no, played that enough. Secret of Mana, I'm cool that that's on there. Because it's hard to find Secret of Mana. Star Fox, nah, played that enough. Star Fox 2, nah.
That's the big hook for me. I want to play Star Fox 2.
I know. Is it enough for me to buy a SNES Classic at $80 is my problem. Street Fighter 2 Turbo, no, don't care. Super Castlevania 4, played that enough. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, no thanks, I'll burn it. Mario Kart, played that to death. Especially when I have the more modern version where I can play online now. But don't get me wrong, Mario Kart 1 is the legend. So Mario RPG is on there. Cool with that. But again, I can also get that from gaming console stores and stuff.
You can get any of those games on just an
Mario World,
emulator.
Super Metroid, Super Punch Out, Yoshi's Island. Nah, drop it to $50 and I'll say you have a deal. Let's see what's going on now.
Nah, it's a good list of games. It could be better. They should have had 30 games on it like the NES Classic.
Here's my thing. If we're really going to go this route, why can't we just design and really milk it where, like, you know, okay, you have so many games on your console, on your online store console purchases, right? You go to your classic console sections for your gaming stores, but then really max it out and just release a ton of the library of SNES games, for example. Make the SNES Classic, but then allow gamers to buy additional games that they can't find elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like a mini like Steam box for retro.
So they should have done that, yeah.
Because I feel like
just have a mini
my problem is if this was like 10 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, it's awesome, but is that all I'm getting? Meh. Yeah. I mean, there's hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of content I'm looking at the list, but I don't know. That's me. That's a
couple big lengthy RPGs on there.
You know,
I don't know. It's a decent list. It could definitely have been better.
I mean, I'm looking at it.
I don't understand why Diddy's Conquest isn't on there.
I don't know. I don't understand why it's only Mega Man X. That blows my mind away.
Yeah, the first Donkey Kong Country and the first X game.
And that's it.
Not enough.
It's weird.
You need the second ones on there.
Or something. I don't know. Anyway, what was I? How do we get here? Where we at now?
Yeah,
I was complaining about bags. I was complaining about bags.
The second part of both of those games were so much better. So yeah.
What else do I have gripes about?
Always looking to gripe.
I'm thinking. Griping along, don't you worry. Hell no. Yeah, no. When my PlayStation 4 controller starting to get all funky, I gotta buy another one. I really don't want to.
Wait, what?
One of my PlayStation 4 controllers are getting all funky, and I don't want to buy another one.
Okay, you're telling me why?
Because I'm griping.
Oh, okay.
Why are my shoulder buttons starting to fall apart and not work? How can they just fail over time? Just push. Push L1. It's like, nah, bro. And I'm like, come on. You're the button I don't really use. Why are you not working?
And that brings us to the end of this episode.
Yeah, well, okay. Fix my buttons. They don't even drop the price of those things half the time. No, like $40. I don't want to pay $40. It's a controller pad.
If anyone wants to donate a new PS4 controller to Mike, you can email us at resumegamepodcast@gmail.com.
I'll take ugly colored ones. Don't worry, I'm not particular. It's just got to work better than the one I have.
There you have it, folks. Thank you, Captain Bosch, for your input.
Wherever he's at. Don't look at me when you say that. Don't look at me when you say that. You must be looking over my shoulder, some garbage.
See you next week, guys.
Goodbye.
Don't believe Ondor's lies.